Well, welcome to another edition of Help on Demand Live. I'm John Neumeier, and I have my cohort, Chad Zekiel, here with Help on Demand. We're excited today. We have a guest from Lincoln, Nebraska, Mark Neumeier, who is with a company that deals with technology as we do. And so, Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Mark is with Magnification Resources. And so I think the way I'd like to start out, Mark, is maybe give us a little bit about your background and then certainly about Magnification Resources, kind of the demographics that you cover and a little bit about those kind of things. So we'll turn it over to you.
Well, I guess it was in 1997 I started a company called Low Vision Solutions, and it was in response to a need that I saw that started with my grandmother who had low vision eye conditions. And I stumbled across some technology that if she had still been alive at that time, we could have helped her continue to read, write, and remain independent. Unfortunately, she was long gone. But I ran across magnification technology that allows people with a variety of low vision eye conditions like macular degeneration, cataracts, glaucoma, on and on, allows them to regain their ability to read and write. Pretty significant to be able to do that. Can you imagine not being able to read and write and having to have someone do that for you? So Low Vision Solutions was created, and then about 9 years ago, maybe longer, maybe closer to 15 years ago, I changed the name to Magnification Resources Incorporated. We continue to do the same thing. We help design and develop, but we do not manufacture electronic magnification devices. That has grown into magnification devices that will actually read out loud to people while magnifying. There's a vast variety of devices. We are essentially manufacturers' representatives. We represent probably 15 different companies and distribute their products. Our clientele ranges from the age of 5 all the way up. Our oldest client is 107.
Wow. That's right at Chad's age.
Yeah, it's grown into, we're also doing a little bit of industrial inspection with these same electronic magnification devices. And we work with the forensic and crime labs around our territory. So it's a need that will never go away, at least in my lifetime or the foreseeable future. So our average age of a client is probably retirement age.
Okay.
But we work with young kids in school yet too. So.
So is your territory just Nebraska? Do you go regionally? Can you go anywhere in the country?
It depends on the manufacturer. With some of our manufacturers, we have geographical territories. For example, Nebraska and Iowa, which is where I spend the bulk of my time. But I have people that work with us and for us in Arkansas, and Kansas, and Missouri, South Dakota. We ship globally, though. That's interesting. At the beginning of the Iraq War, we were shipping electronic magnifiers into Iraq.
Wow.
To be used for what I'm not sure. I don't ask. We just complete.
Just send it.
Yeah.
So as you think about how you work with these different companies and distributors and partners, kind of what makes those relationships work, and how do you kind of differentiate kind of what you do versus maybe some other folks in your field?
I look at our business as all encompassing. We can find the right device for the client, not the device that we sell. And by that I mean if you were looking for an automobile, say a Chevrolet truck, and you went to the Ford dealer just to compare, they don't want you to leave and go to the Chevrolet dealership. They want you to sell the Ford. Same thing at a Dodge. We've gotten into, we have the ability to sell the Dodge, the Ford, and the Chevrolet. And that's because of our relationships with all of the manufacturers. And that allows us then to offer them the product that will truly meet their needs, as opposed to just the only one that we have to sell. And then from there, we're able to service that equipment. If something goes wrong with it, we're authorized service centers, and we take care of the repair, service, ongoing training with the customer if that's ever needed. And when the day comes that the client is not here to use it anymore, then we'll actually take the device back and resell it for them. So for us, it's a lifelong relationship with those clients. And as technology continues to change, because we all know it changes, improves, we're able to help keep them up to speed with new devices and things that may help them even more.
So can you, since you're a manufacturer's rep for several companies, it sounds like, can you talk about that interface with them and how you take that customer solution and source it and figure out the best solution by manufacturer?
Each manufacturer, in my field, they essentially all do the same thing. It's just the differences in the the intricacies of their product.
Yeah.
So we're obligated to stay in touch with all the new technology and how it works and the benefits of that. We do, while we represent multiple companies, there is one company that we do 98% of our business with, and that's simply because of quality, ease of use, and service after the sale. But we like to maintain a really good relationship with all of those manufacturers. You never know when things are going to change.
Yeah. So, we've all over last basically coming up on 2 years with COVID, and I hate always bringing that up, but it did change the dynamic, as Chad and I have talked to a lot of past guests of, how did that make a difference from prior to COVID, how customers or how you reached out to the customers and sold your product versus now after COVID? How did you have to adapt, and what were some maybe learnings or whatever that you learned after the fact of, gosh, maybe I would have worked a little smarter now because of COVID gave me some new ideas of how to do that. So again, how did you kind of address the needs of customers prior to COVID, and how did that change how you do business today?
Well, that's a great question, because COVID nearly slammed the door on our industry. Because before COVID, people would hear about us from their eye doctor or from the Veterans Administration or friends that we had worked with previously. I have never done advertising. And the reason for that is, if we advertise in a newspaper, my prospective client can't read the newspaper, can't read the magazine. So advertising does not help. We've always had a website. My clients won't find that website, but their sons and daughters and relatives will. So that's always been important to us. But at the end of the day, the best referrals come from the eye doctors and happy customers. And so in the past, they would refer to us. We would make an on-site visit, and simply visit with the client about what's wrong with their eyes, what are they having trouble doing, how has it affected their daily lives. And then while there, we would demonstrate some devices to see if it was helpful to them. And ultimately, they would purchase a device, and we would continue to take care of them. But when COVID hit, doctors' offices they essentially shut down. Patients stopped going to see their doctors unless it was a medically necessary, hurry up, I'm having a heart attack problem. And then a lot of them, like our own dad, lives in a retirement community, and I couldn't see, and I'm sure, John, it's true for you too, you couldn't see dad for almost a year.
Yeah.
So for our business, again, it was slamming the door because we couldn't go to the facility. We couldn't see the client. Today, that those restrictions have lifted and we're able to get back into them. What we were missing during the first part of COVID was the ability to talk to the client like in this format we're using today. You know, I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, you're in Colorado, and yet we're face to face talking. And it would have been great and helpful to do that with those people in need of our devices during that time. So what I'm seeing now is that through Teams meetings or Zoom meetings, my client may not be able to get a computer up and running, but their family can.
Yeah.
And we can have, and I've started to do this, even though restrictions have lifted a bit, and I can go see the client. All of a sudden, I'm finding that we can have this conversation while they're at home and I'm in my office, and we can actually do product demonstrations this way as well. Still more beneficial in person because they can feel it, touch it, and try it. But if I had had this technology at the beginning of COVID, it would have certainly helped.
That's great.
So video technology helped you kind of survive COVID, and it sounds like a bigger part of what you do. Any other, we're kind of a technology theme here. So what other pieces of technology kind of make a difference for you, and how do you deploy them? So any thoughts on how tech is used in your business in addition to video?
Well, the computer, I don't know how people did business, like as much business as we do today before computers were created.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a simpler time, but our computer systems and even smartphone systems allow us to react to a customer's need much more quickly. I can only imagine sending a letter with all the specifics to a guy that works for me in Arkansas, and he has to wait a week before he gets it. Right? I mean, there's still things that we have to communicate in hard copy or in print. Telephone's obviously a great tool for us, but not everything that I need to convey to my people I can do over the phone. So the computer was the first step, and I'm very thankful that I can send an email or an instant message immediately to my guy across the, down to Arkansas, or a text message with something. What I'm working towards is more reaction from potential customers through the computer. Websites are great. Telemarketing is okay, but you know how telemarketing is today. As soon as we know it's a salesman calling, we're trying to get off the phone. So we're always looking for ways to interact with that customer quicker.
Yeah.
And that's what I find interesting about your company.
Yeah, and that's what we always have a problem a lot of times, is conveying what our technology actually does to potential clients. I mean, everybody has an idea, people think a CRM system, for example, is the kind of give all to everybody, right? That closes the sale, that you can just dump a lead in there and it automatically closes itself. But, not true, as we all know. And Help on Demand is certainly an enhancement to any, any CRM system. It, by itself, yes, we can get that customer to, for example, your manufacturers, reps, whatever, within seconds anywhere in the world. But in generally in manufacturing, do you have experience with different kinds of technology being used of how they are getting the customer to manufacturers, reps? I mean, is it still send them an email, a spreadsheet full of names? How does that work in the manufacturing world?
Well, I think in many ways it's still a little bit archaic because they, if a client hears about a company that manufactures magnification devices, they call. I think the first step is that the potential customer calls that manufacturer and wants to learn about how that product may benefit them. The manufacturers then have companies like us that they contact. But the first step to me is we have lost the ability in this country to have somebody actually answer the telephone when we're calling in. It's always an automated voice prompt. And it's frustrating for me, and I can only imagine how frustrating it would be if you were an 80-year-old man and you were trying, because of your vision loss, to contact somebody about a product that may help them. But first you have to go through 10 steps of voice prompts. Then you get somebody on the phone at the manufacturer, and then they say, well, we're going to have Mark give you a call. And it might be 3 days later that they send me an email to call the potential client. And by that time, there's been some loss of information or forgetfulness. And, oh yeah, I did call, but that was 3 days ago.
Do you find that because of that, I am guessing you do, because, you run into that. We've all been in the sales world. But, I can only imagine as if I have to send you an email, and I know how patient we all are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all these online ordering services now allow you to say, gosh, I want to buy that drone today and I want to fly it this afternoon. Do you find, and again, I assume you do, that, you get this lead in, and you get it today, and with seniors, for example, 30 seconds seems like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so by that time, and you know this too, Chad, as they go to your competitor and buy the product because they think, well, gosh, I gave Mark a whole 15 minutes and he didn't call me back. Do you lose sales because of those kind of things, or do you have ways of kind of preventing that to happen in a sense?
No, we lose them. We're not superhuman. And I'm running a very small company, and so if I have 3 guys and all 4 of us are in meetings with existing clients, a phone call is going to wait until we're done and say that's an hour from now, and that could be too late. I'm a person that wants instant gratification. If I'm looking to buy something, I want to buy it and go on with my day.
Hey, you're in the right place. That's what we do. That's what we do. At the end of the day, that's what Help on Demand does. We want to be able to take that customer, that request, and find someone. It's just, easily explained. Our solution is really like taking Uber technology, right? And going out and finding that ride, and it'll bounce from driver to driver, or in your case, rep to rep or customer to customer until you have someone that can answer the call. And that's the beauty of what we do. And I'm sure we'll be out next week to see if we can get you set up, sir.
Well, and you've been in your career other opportunities and companies that you work for, as we all have, and I know the frustration for all of us is, okay, I can get a lead and you can dump it in a CRM system, And there's multiple ones out there, for example, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to get it today.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm driving down down the road and I don't have access to the internet or whatever, or if I'm out of cell phone, in a sense, I potentially have lost that opportunity. And I think where we're at now, and even for you, is, you know, how cool is it that there is now a technology like Help on Demand where clients needs to get a hold of you right now. They're on your website. They're viewing all your Magnification products or whatever, and family or whatever goes, oh my gosh, we need to talk to Mark right now. And with our technology, literally that's going to ping you in the car or wherever you're at and say, hey, somebody wants to talk to you. You touch on, you know, their name on your iPhone or your Android, and you're talking to those people in real time. In your experience anywhere, have you had that kind of technology ability in anything or something close to that you use? Or how do you see our technology helping you in your industry?
Well, the first question is no. I've never had that kind of technology available. I can tell you as recently as last week, I had one potential client call me every 15 seconds for an hour. And I couldn't answer it.
Sorry, was that person trying to extend your car warranty? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's hilarious, but they were actually trying to.
What said potential spam on the call?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, you had someone calling you repeatedly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and I am not exaggerating. She just kept redialing and leaving messages, and when I'm out of the office, I have my office phone, our toll-free number, forwarded to my cell phone. So because we want to be responsive, but she just didn't give up, and she wanted to buy a fairly expensive magnification device. And when I finally finished my meeting, because I dedicate myself to that client that I'm in front of, and I finished that meeting and called her back, and she was so angry that it took me an hour to call her back after her 22 calls. And I still haven't completed that sale, and I think it's because of that.
Yeah, you don't need any more roadblocks in the middle of trying to make a sale, right?
Yeah. People want connectivity now. There's no doubt about it. That's a great illustration.
Hey, Mark, we had a lot of great information from you, and we would love to have you back for further conversations on technology in your world and how things are changing. We'd love to have you back. I assume you're open to coming back to the show?
Oh, absolutely. It would be a pleasure to come back and visit with you again.
Great. Well, we will get that scheduled for you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.